Hey, coming up right now, new students are getting a failing grade for basic skills they actually need in everyday life.
Also coming up, meet the man who added some major charges to his criminal record because he was running late for a court date.
A little bit later on, sometimes there's just no words. When humans interfere with Mother Nature, you can love monkeys, you just can't love monkeys.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Jackson.
I am Mitch English. We're so glad to have you here for Daily Flash. Today's Trends, tomorrow's Talk. We got a whole hour packed full of goodness for you. We even have our Matt Doolittle standing by. Hey there, Matty.
Hello.
Hey.
What is your favorite convenience store?
I would say the Sev, number one. I mean, just because the convenience is there. However, I'm slowly converting over to Wawa. Wawa is not everywhere in the country, but I love it because
They put out a big study and
Yeah.
it was all this controversy. Wawa came in number one.
number one, really.
Number one, yeah.
I can
I'm a
see
Wawa
that.
fan. You can get everything there.
Love
They
Wawa.
started off like in Wisconsin area and kind of worked their way down south as they continued to
Was it
grow.
Wisconsin? I think
Yeah.
it was Philadelphia.
Maybe it was Philly. I knew it was in that area. Yeah,
Pennsylvania. I'm sorry.
I think you are right. I think
Pennsylvania,
I think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You're right. Yes, 100%.
They
'Cause
just
the-
took over Orlando.
They
though.
did, right?
Old Florida.
Buc-ee's
Yeah.
is coming in soon.
Yes.
I know that as far as the Orlando area goes, right after you get off 75, take the turnpike to Disney. They're building one nearby that in Ocala. It's going to be the largest one they've ever built.
Wow.
And for some reason, like you feel the need to go to Buc-ee's, but you don't
Yeah.
know why you need to go to Buc-ee's.
Can I tell you that we took a road trip recently
Yeah.
up to North Carolina and we stopped at a Buc-ee's that was near the South Carolina, North Carolina
Yeah.
border. I am telling you, I walked in there and it was a completely different world. I don't know how many hundreds of people were packed into that Buc-ee's, but it was insane. I'm like, where am I?
There's so much there.
Whole different
They
world.
got a wall of jerky.
What?
on,
Wall of
dude.
jerky.
Brisket sandwich and a wall of
Well,
jerky.
I'm pulled pork. I gotta have a pulled pork sandwich. They are amazing. They make them right there on
Yeah.
site, and I mean, and they're fresh. They're great.
Cleanest bathrooms.
Yep.
And that's
Ever
what they
been
push
in.
themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the strangest thing you've ever tried at a state fair?
At a state fair, it was a thing called a sundae, and basically it was the ice cream would have been mashed potatoes, the strawberries would be like chunks of chicken or something like that. But they tried to sell it as a sundae, but it was basically just throw everything like you
Like
would in
a
a
meat
meal.
sundae.
Yeah, I think that's even what they called it.
Sounds like it. So the Texas State Fair is going to try something new.
Oh.
They have decided to try this. Oh, I just lost my story here. But it's a corn dog beer. The original Corny Dog Company is offering mustard beer at
Yeah.
the Texas State Fair. I want your reaction. Mustard
don't-
flavored beer.
No, it's one of those where you take a sip and you go, oh, it's not that bad. There's no way you can drink a
It's
whole
like
thing
me
of
with
it,
pumpkin
right?
stuff. I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
is now I'm good.
I
With
do.
a hot dog and a mustard beer?
What do you dip
Oh,
it in there?
maybe you could dip it in it. Now that I think of it,
Oh,
you can
yeah, there
maybe
you go.
kind of dip it in it. I do know that Texas State Fair is one of those that's the thing is like, all right, what's the new
Food.
nasty food
Yeah.
that everybody has to try? It's usually something fried, so I'm surprised it's a beer this time.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a fried component that goes
Yeah,
alongside
fried
it.
beer, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't try it, but it does sound interesting.
Wouldn't
I
be
would have to-
first on your list.
No, not at all.
No.
We go now where some trending stories here with the university professors expressing concerns about students who come to college actually unable to read a book. And we're not joking. Teachers from elite schools like Columbia, Georgetown, even Stanford claim that many of their students are overwhelmed by the idea of reading an entire book. Professors say only a handful of the students seem to be up to the task and call them the exception rather than the rule. 300 teachers revealed in a survey that full books are no longer part of the curriculum for students in 3rd to 8th grade. Now, the problem seems to be the public school system, and as a result, many colleges are scaling back on reading assignments, which means you're not going to get the Pizza Hut free coupon for reading
book it.
books. The book it thing.
Oh, this is a struggle for me because I think you're caving into this whole idea of these kids not having any sort of attention span. And so therefore, because they don't have the attention span, you're just going to let them off the hook and not make them read classic books and read certain things that might take a majority of their time.
And the point of that is because I think social media, anytime
Yeah.
they can get information that they need right then and there, and that feeds into that attention span, and knowing that they can get basically a synopsis of a book.
Yeah.
From now, and with AI coming around, it's like, tell me what this book's about, and it can give you a whole out.
Do you
I
remember
see
Cliff
that.
Notes?
Cliff Notes. I was trying to
Oh,
think of the
I,
way
oh,
I
I
was
used,
talking about.
I used
Yeah.
the heck out
Everybody
of some
used
Cliff
Cliff
Notes.
Notes.
But what
Before
I
that
didn't-
was Reader's Digest. The Reader's Digest version of yada
Yeah.
yada.
Oh,
but
yeah,
Cliff
yeah,
Notes is
yeah.
What I didn't like was my last semester of college, our books were all digital. And I don't do well reading long form stuff on a screen.
It's hard, isn't it? I don't like the ebook thing.
I lose myself on it, and I
Mhm.
like to make notes and everything. And you couldn't buy a physical one unless you wanted to go spend another $300.
And it seems like if you're going to read it digitally, you have to have like the e-readers, like a Kindle,
Yeah.
because I would be too distracted. Like if I'm reading on my iPad,
Yes.
a message would pop up, and then all right, because of the ADD that
Mhm.
you speak of, and then I also know I'm going to take a break and play a game. Pretty soon, I'm not even reading
Yeah.
the game. I could see that.
There is something to having that book in your hand and actually
agree with you.
reading a book as opposed to having it on your computer or your iPad or whatever.
It's also the line of thinking of cursive. It's gone away as well.
Yeah.
So you think about that, having a book in your hand, and they've seen kids that actually read, have a higher cognitive skills and also of comprehension as well. And it seems-
Concentration,
concentration.
discipline. Yeah, it
That's
all
very
comes with
good.
it.
We go now to the Sooner State, where a man there behind bars accused of stealing an ambulance. Why? Well, he was late for court. Cody Adams, he was at a gas station. There he is, asking folks for a ride. He decided, well, I'll just take this unoccupied ambulance that someone left running in a parking lot. Well, the accused carjacker took the emergency vehicle on a 30-minute ride to the courthouse. He then ditched the vehicle before he was actually caught walking into the courthouse. Now, he claims, hey, man, look, I was just borrowing the ambulance. You needed me to be to court, right? He was to court for other theft-related charges. So this guy didn't do well for the judge. Thinking about that, it just seems like he figured, well, what the heck? I mean, I'm already in trouble anyway.
So the judge says to him, so you carjacked an ambulance so you wouldn't be late for court to answer charges of grand theft auto
Auto,
on
right.
another case.
When you have a
Okay.
talent, I mean, you've got to use it,
You
right? I mean, it's a good talent.
You have
Sure.
to.
Yes.
I'm not sure if stealing cars is a talent that I would want anybody to learn, but
Goodness gracious. Have you seen the new HBO documentary, Chimp Crazy?
Yep.
y'all got to see it. It's whoa.
That's the best way to put it. If so, then you are familiar with a woman who breastfed a chimpanzee. Pamela Rosaire is part of the new docuseries. She's been involved with chimps her entire life and admits she's taken on the role of chimp mom, even offering to breastfeed when necessary. The documentary also features another woman right here, Tanya Haddix, and her love for a celebrity chimp named Tonka. The main focus of the series is on Tonka, who disappeared from an Ohio primate sanctuary after PETA sued to get it shut down. Tonka was known for his roles in movies like Babe, Pig in the City, George of the Jungle, and Buddy. Haddix took Tonka from the sanctuary as the feds were seizing the other primates and kept him in her Missouri basement for nearly a year.
Yeah.
She was eventually exposed by the documentary crew when they told PETA Tanya was keeping him in her basement.
She would lie on the phone and saying, I don't know where he's at, or he said he died. Well, I don't
She
want to give too
cried
much away.
on a
She
Zoom
cried.
call with a judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, first she was claiming he had a
Chimp
heart
crazy.
condition.
Yeah.
Right, and he had limited time to live. Then she claimed he died, and they had his ashes, which they didn't.
Yeah, they even looked at the ashes and go, this doesn't even look like any kind of
Yeah,
ashes.
and then the documentary crew was sort of stuck with this difficult decision to make because they're there under the auspices of we're trying to film a documentary about this woman, but now we know too much information. And she was talking about killing the ape so that PETA couldn't take it.
And that's sad.
And that's the point where they were like, hey, you know what? We gotta.
They went in, and it was interesting the way that they went in because it's the same people that did Tiger King
Yes,
did
yeah.
this, but he was so well known. They're like, look, there's no way that I'll be able to do this.
She won't trust me.
She's not going to
These
trust me. So
people
they
won't
made
trust me.
a fake
Proxy.
proxy is what he called it, a documentary director. And And everything you saw, I was sitting there going, why aren't they telling, this is breaking the law.
Yeah.
And they did the right thing, which actually I think is even better, that the fact that it showed that they did do the right thing
Yeah.
instead of going for
And
sensationalism.
then come to find out that Tonka did not have any sort of heart condition or heart disease. He wasn't suffering from strokes or anything like that. Now he's living his best life in a sanctuary in South Florida.
On an island.
That
Yeah.
Roxy director's face when she's like, "Oh, we've got to keep him safe," and he just kind of turns. He did like the Office moment where it's like,
Yeah.
"What do we do?" He's like, "What do I do with this now? I don't want to do this."
It's a definite sit down and binge watch this, because these are different types of people that, the breastfeeding thing is way too much for me.
Way too much for me too.
Really.
Fine if it was a penguin.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe not. I don't know. All right, today's trends, tomorrow's talk. We got more of it here on Daily Flash.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Andrea Jackson. Have you noticed a spike in your recent credit card bills, even when you've kept your spending in check? We're taking a closer look at how hidden credit card rates are affecting your monthly budget. Ayelet Sheffey, senior economic policy reporter for Business Insider, joins us now with more. Ayelet, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So, Ayelet, with average credit card interest rates now topping 21%, how are they impacting everyday Americans?
Absolutely. So I think what we're seeing right now are these record high credit card balances. So a lot of consumers are really struggling to get ahead of their balances. And I think what we're seeing right now is an average interest rate on credit cards of just around 21%. So that's pretty high for a lot of consumers. And this can lead a lot of them to acquire these big balances on their credit cards. They might not even realize how high their interest rates are once they sign up for this credit card. So oftentimes this can lead to periods of delinquencies, people not quite knowing how to get ahead of their credit card debt. And this can have big financial consequences. It could cause a lot of issues in terms of affording, their basic necessities and other key things that they need to stay financially afloat.
So, what are some of the main factors of these hidden fees?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when we see consumers going to get a credit card, they're really pulled in by these rewards, these travel perks, all of these things that are really glitzy and super appealing right off the bat. But oftentimes credit card companies will not put those high interest rates. Consumers aren't aware of the terms, not necessarily when they sign up for these credit cards. And this is probably a key way that down the road, consumers are finding themselves with these high credit card balances as credit card companies are profiting off of those high interest rates.
And Ayelet, how do credit card companies profit from the gap between their borrowing rates and what they charge consumers?
Sure. So the interesting thing that we're seeing there right now is that the gap between the interest rate that credit card companies pay and the federal funds rate, which is the rate that the Federal Reserve sets, is the highest it's been in 30 years. So what this essentially means is that credit card companies are charging way beyond what the Federal Reserve is setting. And this is a key way that these companies are profiting. They're setting these interest rates at such a high rate where they know that they will continue bringing in money from consumers, despite the Federal Reserve setting a much lower rate that the credit card companies have to pay themselves.
You're really fighting for a better rate, especially if you have a decent credit score. If you don't have one, what sort of protections are in place for consumers?
Mhm. So I think right now there are pretty minimal regulation on the credit card industry. So unfortunately, that's a main reason that consumers are dealing with such high credit card balances. A lot of credit card companies are based in states where usury laws are quite minimal, meaning that these companies continue to have the ability to charge such high rates, while consumers have pretty, few protections, if any, to really avoid their debt from spiraling out of control.
Ayelet, given the rise in delinquencies and growing credit card debt, how quickly could this add to our current financial crisis that we're experiencing here in the U.S.?
Mhm. So I think financial experts, even Federal Reserve officials, are really concerned about the high level of delinquencies we're seeing. There are potential signals that if delinquencies continue to rise, it could lead to a recession. Federal Reserve officials have said that we're not quite at that point, but it is definitely something that, people across the board should be watching closely, especially as we're continuing with this pandemic recovery. The pace of inflation is showing we need to really be keeping an eye on consumer credit, on consumer balances, to ensure it really does not send the economy into a downward spiral.
If you had one piece of advice, what is the one step an individual can take to manage their debt?
I would say just budget. Be aware of your expenses, be aware of how much you're spending on groceries, how much you need to spend on, those basic bills that you're going to be hit with every month to make sure that your balance isn't growing out of control.
Budget. It is a scary word. Lots of folks don't like it, but if we tended to it a little bit more often, we probably wouldn't find ourselves struggling with the credit card debt. Ayelet, thank you so much. For more information on keeping your credit in check, please check out our website, dailyflashshow.com. You'll find this interview along with all sorts of other great topics. Again, dailyflashshow.com.
All right, thank you there, Jackson. It's time for the story that's going to make you stop and say, Mitch, please. Check this out. A Canadian TikTok creator has actually sparked a cucumber craze in Iceland, where farmers there are now actually, this is no joke, struggling just to keep up with the demand, all thanks to his viral salad recipes. Logan Moffat, he's known to his 6 million followers as Logan GM, or Logum. He's actually been slicing and shaking cucumbers into deli containers since July. Apparently, the world just cannot get enough. He seems pretty proud of that one cucumber. I don't know if you see it holding. He's holding it a little too tight, if you ask me. Anyway, so much so that Icelandic supermarkets have actually now seen a reported cucumber shortage.
What?
Sales doubling right after his videos took off. Now, Moffat's easy, Asian-inspired salads have actually charmed those who claim to actually hate cucumbers. But the shortage will soon resolve, as Icelandic farmers are probably eyeing the next TikTok trend very warily, just in case it involves sheep. Let's hope not, because otherwise everybody will be saying, Mitch, please! My understanding, there's other things you can do with cucumbers. Am I right?
Throw them at cats.
Throw them at cats. Have you guys seen this? No, Matt
No.
brings a good point. Okay, if you have a cat, or if your friend has a cat, or if you have a cat at home, get a cucumber, yay size, throw it behind it. They freak out.
No.
No, I'm dead serious.
It's supposed to look like a snake.
Is that why they're freaking out? Matt says because they look like snakes. They will, and it's hours and hours of enjoyment. And besides,
Terrorizing your animals.
if you have a cucumber, there's one of three things you can do. You can make a pickle, you can make a salad, or you can scare your cat, or you can take your seeds out and plant
Yeah,
it.
that's what we were going
Great,
for.
and that's really
Yes.
exciting.
Yeah.
I want to party with you, cowboy. We got more after this. Stick around.
In this week's Boss Lady, we hear from 5 successful entrepreneurs who share their struggles and inspiration for success. They discuss their turning point when they knew they were on the right path.
You have all created businesses from out-of-the-box thinking. What made you veer left when everybody else was going right? Bobby.
When I moved to New York, it was the 80s and everyone was doing the, over made up contour look. I know it's back. I still don't like contour. So I would make up the models to make them look like they weren't wearing makeup, and that was my calling card. But there was no makeup available that allowed you to do that. I met a chemist one day at a shoot and I said, I can't find a lipstick that didn't smell, wasn't greasy, and I wanted to match lips. Then I realized, wow, this is something.
For me, entrepreneurship, it wasn't something that I aspired to. I always wanted to be an inventor. If I can be the perfect balance between Beyonce and Bill Nye the Science Guy every single day. Now we're installing our technologies around different countries in emerging markets, turning everything from floors and roads to baby strollers into energy generating solutions.
You guys both touched on this idea of identifying problems that existed in your life and looking at ways that you could shape an industry rather than looking at the industry itself. I started a fashion technology company with my co-founder. We had no fashion or technology experience. We knew what it meant to buy a dress for $1,000, wear it once, and then be photographed on social media and feel like you could never wear it again.
Right.
So we're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Renting dresses made sense. If you thought too far down the road, it could be easy to find all the why nots versus the how can you make this happen.
I want to hear Angela's story, talking about how you are helping young entrepreneurs.
So I started New Me, which is an accelerator for minorities in 2011. We focus only on the technology industry, which At the time, it was young, technical, white guys club. I did not really start New Me as a business. It was a problem that I wanted to solve, and I thought it was gonna be like a one-time project.
What do you see is standing in between these women and the dollars that you know they need to succeed?
When I work with men, they are not scared to ask for money, even if what they are working on is mediocre. But women can have something phenomenal, but it's like we hold ourselves back. So a lot of the work that I do, in particular with women, is confidence building, is getting them comfortable with asking for the money.
Priya, I want to talk about the impact you are having on actual people, helping them create wealth in a way that they've never even thought of before.
Historically, financial planning has been reserved for the wealthy. And when I was working on Wall Street, my clients were old and rich, and all of my friends at the same time were wondering, where do we go for the answers? There is this completely underserved, kind of ignored demographic that we call Henrys, high earners, not rich yet.
I so often hear young women say, I just want to be paid what I'm worth, but I don't even know what that means. And I very rarely hear young women say, I want to make a lot of money, right? It's as if we all sort of internalize this idea that the budget's not there.
Research show that men are 4 times more likely than women to ask. So it's stash wealth, salary negotiations come up. Set it as a goal though, and it has to be a very concrete goal. Like, I want to buy a $250,000 house in 3 years. So I want to get a raise, and let's back into what you need to do today to be on track.
The flip side that millennials have to be very careful of is entitlement. For example, one kid said, I feel like I really need to make X. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. For this job, if you do all of this research, this is the highest you can get paid. And he's like, yeah, I didn't really think about what the job was. I just kind of thought, New York. What are you saying?
I don't think women talk about comp and salaries in the same way men do. Women I advise, some of the most valuable help I give them is actually talking in a real way about what should you be making, but getting the data out there, that's hard, especially amongst women, because there are fewer women who are in leadership roles.
I find younger women are much more transparent with their salary. And for them, it's not TMI, it's cocktail talk. And I think that lifting the veil is gonna get us all closer to equality. In The Big Life, I have an entire chapter devoted to the side hustle secret to success. How do you know when it's time to make your side hustle your main hustle?
I fully believe in the side hustle, and in fact, when I worked in finance, because I was not passionate about finance, I would spend whatever time I had doing college essay editing, which I kind of made a little business around, but ultimately went to business school and co-founded Rent the Runway in business school. So I was kind of side hustling it. I was taking classes, but I'm a pretty risk-averse entrepreneur, so the whole way I had a timeline of milestones that we had to meet, and I think it was helpful for me and my co-founder. It kept us honest. Ultimately, one of those milestones was raising money, and for me, raising money was another way of checking myself on, was this a good concept that VCs would put their name behind? So I very much believe that parallel processing and kind of always having a little bit of a safety net, and then just being honest with yourself if something's not working.
If you know a boss lady you think should be featured on our show, drop me a line at Andrea@dailyflashshow.com. We would love to hear from you and share a new bossy story. And if you want to check out all of our previous Boss Lady segments, head to our website, dailyflashshow.com. Now let's check in with Matt Doolittle.
Thanks, Andrea. Well, if you guys want a little fun with old Matty Doolittle here, you can head over to our YouTube page and just search Daily Flash Show on YouTube. You can check out my little segment I do from the Daily Flash backroom called Preview Review. Yes, I say it like that every time. It's your source for fun, news, entertainment about, stuff in nerd world. So make sure you go there, check it out. I try to do 2 a week. And let me know what you want to see on there as well. More Flash right after this.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. I am Mitch English.
I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment.
And part of that entertainment is the sports world, of course. And it looks like the NFL union is saying, listen, the players union at least, they're saying, listen, we're done with having cameras in the locker room. Because they've had a couple instances where you can imagine
So
happens.
towel drops and
Yeah, towel drop. Yeah, so then really naked players in the background because they had cameras in the locker room. They've been trying to do this for actually the past 3 years, really pushing the effort to do it. The Players Union. Right now, the NFL requires that players always be available 45 minutes after practice.
Oh.
So after that, then they can ask them, getting ready, and it's all part of just making sure that the players, first off, can get the fans excited about that sort of thing. Well, as you can imagine, they're saying, well, listen, the locker room should be the sanctuary. Let us have our time in here.
Sure.
And it's our private time as well. And after they caught like a couple players just this past year on camera in the background, butt naked, So
it's a locker room.
Let's check in now with Matt Doolittle. He's in the locker room right now with the latest here. Matt, do you have your clothes on?
And you'll notice I'm fully clothed.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not an NFL player.
I was so worried.
Matt's a never nude.
No, he's a never nude. He has shorts
I do
on
the
underneath
towel
it.
and the shorts thing at the gym. I'm not that guy.
I think, you think about the locker room interviews too. I mean, you get I guess they get the rawness of it, no pun intended. But I know the last controversy about this was having women in the men's locker room, and they're like, hey, look, if you're going to see it.
There were players that would do that on purpose, though.
That's what
They would purposely, oops, my towel fell, like right in front of them. That happened all the time.
It's one of those spaces, it's kind of a sacred space for those players, and I think it should stay that way.
I agree
I
with you.
get the excitement of being in the locker room because it's a place you don't often see, but at the same time, it's like, really?
We should check the WNBA. I wonder if there's totally different rules on that.
Oh, I
if you
bet
think
there
about
are.
that,
Yes.
So maybe they should follow that. If it can be done in WNBA, it can be done in the NFL.
That's a good point.
Right.
University professors are expressing some concerns about students who come to college unable to read a book. Teachers from elite schools like Columbia, Georgetown, Stanford claim many of their students are overwhelmed by the idea of reading an entire book. Professors say only a handful of their students seem up to the task and call them the exception rather than the rule. 300 teachers revealed in a survey that full books are no longer part of their curriculum for students in 3rd to 8th grade. The problem seems to be in the public school system, not the private schools. As a result, many colleges are scaling back their reading assignments because they're finding it difficult for these students to deal with the challenge.
I think you had mentioned this when we were discussing it about it's just concentration. And it's sitting down. I mean, you look at a book and, I think maybe they're thinking, well, I'm going to have to read this entire thing. It's too much. Why can't I can go online and just get a synopsis of it or an understanding of it? And we're also in an immediacy world where we get our results as quick. And I think we're growing up more and more as such. And books, obviously, there's a comparison. Those that read have a better, they can speak better. They can actually communicate much easier. And that's also, it has to do something with the imagination.
Yeah, I think there's a certain concentration and a certain discipline to actually being able to sit down and read a book. I mean, I think it's true. Some people, it's just not their thing, which I get. But, I think for the majority of the Gen Zers that are coming up into college, it's not a matter of them not liking it or unable to do it. They just don't want to do it.
I tend to agree with you on that. And I tend to be exactly like that. I'm an audiobook guy. And I don't go tell everybody, I don't say, well, I was reading this book. I say, hey, I was listening to this book.
Yeah.
I think you have to say that.
You could take a whole book now, throw it in ChatGPT and say, hey, summarize this for me in 2 paragraphs. And it'll get close enough for you to know what to say to the teacher.
And it's sometimes where you need to see the trees because of the forest, outside of the other way around. It's like it's those details that you can pick up, and it also will trigger other things that happen in your mind, how people react to that sort of thing. And if you're getting a broad overview, you miss that.
Exactly, because I think when you're reading a book or even listening to one, it allows your imagination to kind of create the story for you. If you're just getting the Cliff Notes version, you're bypassing all of that, mind creativity time.
The reading's hard.
All right, we got today's trends, tomorrow's talk, and a whole lot of fun right here on Daily Flash.
Myriad Genetics' latest survey reveals most women don't know that dense breast tissue may raise their cancer risk. Joining us with more insight are OBGYN Dr. Sid and a breast cancer previvor, Ashley Dedman.
Certainly, this is the beginning of Breast Cancer Awareness Month and such a timely topic. When women have dense breasts, unfortunately, it makes it a little bit more challenging to identify those patients that are at highest risk because a lot of the cancers can be hidden in the breast tissue. The abnormalities can be often hidden within the mammograms. So that's where it's certainly very important for patients to know what their breast density is and have those regular exams done with their providers so that we can determine those patients that might be at higher risk and might need supplemental testing.
Learning about my breast density and my BRCA2 mutation changed my standard of care. Genetic testing gave me understanding, especially given my family history on both sides of my family. My mother had metastatic breast cancer and my father is a prostate cancer survivor. This information allowed me to have honest conversations with my family members as well as my children about their potential risk.
I would encourage every patient and every person to go to getmyrisk.com.
Up next, if your child is feeling sick, here's some new relief for cold and flu.
Say goodbye to pouring, measuring, and cleaning up traditional liquid cough medicine.
Mucinex Mighty Chews is the first medicated children's soft chew for cough relief. Cold and flu season is around the corner, and this hassle-free dosing is a new and easier way to give your kids medicine. For children 6 years and up, it provides effective relief made with trusted active ingredients to temporarily relieve your child's cough symptoms day or night.
For more information, visit Mucinex.com.
In the U.S., more than 10 million people above the age of 40 live with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. A new treatment option that may help patients is now available. Joining us today is Dr. Mylan Hahn, Chief of the Division of Pulmonary and Critical Care at the University of Michigan Health, to discuss the impact inadequately controlled COPD has on daily life and a new treatment option.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm here today to talk about COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So if you're not familiar with COPD, it's a progressive disease of the lungs that can cause damage and make it really difficult for patients to breathe. Many patients are treated with inhalers, but for many, that treatment isn't adequate. And so I'm here today to talk about a new medication that's available called dupilumab, also known as Dupixent. And it targets a very specific type of inflammation that we can COPD driven by a type of white blood cell that's called the eosinophil. So we're understanding that for some patients, eosinophils really are driving flare-ups of the disease that we as physicians call exacerbations. These are periods where patients get really short of breath, need additional medication to treat, and sometimes can even end up in the emergency room or the hospital. So Dupixent helps to target this type of eosinophilic inflammation and over time can decrease the frequency of these flare-ups. Now, Dupixent doesn't replace a rescue inhaler, but again, over time in combination with a patient's maintenance medications can help to reduce the frequency of exacerbations. So as a physician, I'm really excited to have a new treatment option for my patients because many of my patients have been on the existing medications for many years and are still experiencing exacerbations. But like with any medication, it's always about risks and benefits. There are potential side effects. So if you're allergic to Dupixent or any of the compounds in the injection, you wouldn't want to use it. Other side effects that have been reported include eye problems, joint aches, and pain. So like with any new medication, you always want to start by having a conversation with your doctor. Talk to them about your COPD. Ask them about whether you've ever had your eosinophils levels checked and whether that might be appropriate. You can also find more information on the website, Dupixent.com.
Thanks for all that great info. We'll make sure we have it on our website at dailyflashshow.com.
Well, it is back to fall, back to work, and back to school time. So lifestyle expert Joanne Butler, she joins us to share all the essentials that's going to make your life so much easier.
Oh, hi, thanks for having me. Well, let's talk simple weeknight meals. No one makes it easier to have delicious fresh meals on the table faster than Fresh Express. Forget weekend, this is just any time. I use their salad kits all the time, but they've just introduced these amazing new hot or cold salad and noodle meal kits that are ready to eat in under 5 minutes. They're actually inspired by restaurant menus, and they're available in 3 flavors: teriyaki, Asian sweet ginger, and Korean sesame. And with chilled, freshly chopped veggies, ready-to-eat pre-cooked noodles, gourmet dressing sauce, and crispy toppings. They're so delicious. My favorite thing about these new kits too is that you can enjoy them hot or cold. Just simply mix all the ingredients together to eat it cold right out of the bag, or you can add some oil to a pan, cook the veggies and noodles for a few minutes to enjoy them hot. It's that simple. Of course, you can also add a protein to use them as a base to create a more complete meal. I added marinated steak to the teriyaki meal kit here and veggie dumplings to the Korean sesame kit. Just a delicious combo. Hot or cold salad and noodle kits, $5.99, and you can find them next to the fresh pre-cut vegetables or in the refrigerated produce department at grocers. And head to freshexpress.com for more info on these. Now, next up, I am so excited to show you the ultimate kitchen companion here. This is the Sturmax multi-cooker from the Power XL brand, which is just a leader in innovative, foolproof kitchen appliances, my favorite. Just think effortless meal preparation with advanced stirring technology and versatile cooking functions. I mean, this baby has a built-in 360-degree automatic paddle that can stir, shred, and sear all in one. Look how seamlessly it works. And it's just great for everything from stews and soups to meals like risotto. Risotto, for example, really attention demanding, just requires constant stirring for what can feel like forever. So this makes it super easy, does it all for you, hands-free. It even has 9 presets, including the Sturmax and the Braise Max, that saute, sear, and brown first before automatically switching to simmer. So you just get perfectly cooked meals in minutes. And with football season in full swing, it's great for all the faves, like buffalo chicken dip and chili and queso. It's spacious too. Look at this, 7.5 quart capacity, so a large cooking pot. So it's great for cooking for a crowd. Of course, with Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up, you can't go wrong. I also really love that you can just cook and serve right in the same pot, take it right to the table, and you're good to go. Then clean up easy too, because the inner pot comes right out. It's dishwasher safe. The Sturmax multi-cooker, get it right now online at walmart.com and then in stores come November. And for more info on this awesome brand, Power XL, visit powerxlproducts.com. And there you have it, making kitchen time easier.
And now a popular pizza brand is adding something new to the menu. Here's more.
Domino's, the world's largest pizza company, is cooking up something new for fall.
We've recently added mac and cheese to our menu. It's warm, cheesy, and delicious, and available in 2 mouth-watering varieties: 5-cheese mac and cheese and spicy buffalo 5-cheese mac and cheese. For even more flavor, you can upgrade your order with bacon, jalapenos, or both.
To try the new oven-baked 5-cheese mac and cheese, find your nearest Domino's at Domino's.com.
The latest buzzword on social media, Mitch?
What's that?
Demure.
Demure, something I know nothing about.
Yes. Now, one new mom has decided to name her new baby Demure Rain. Demure is a play on a viral video with influencers using the catchphrase very demure, very mindful, very cute, see? The buzzword has snowballed into a viral trend that shows no signs of slowing down.
So we're going to be seeing more demures. You would think like with the Demi, remember when she first came out, like no one knew how to say her name?
Demi was, but then it was like Demi.
Demi, no one knew how to say it. And I think at Seinfeld they go, no one says semi truck. They say semi. Why don't it be demi? That sort of thing. But demure, what a great name, I guess.
Cute.
It's,
Yeah.
You want something different? Why not? And then Rain, I love that, spelled with an E-I-G-N. Oh, other great stuff happening, and that, of course, is the start of the annual Fat Bear Week contest. Sorry, Matt, you're not involved in this one. It was delayed, though. Check this out. The whole contest was delayed because one of the contestants killed one of the other contestants. No. Now, if you're wondering what's going on, it's okay because they're all bears. All right, they're the contestants in it. Both bears were actually in contention for the 10th anniversary of the tournament. The contest actually pits the heaviest bears against one another as they bulk up right before hibernation. The brutal attack actually involved, you can watch this on your screen right now. The male bear is known as Bear 469. Which means something totally different in parts of the country, by the way. And there was also Bear 469. And then a female called Bear 402. Now, the confrontation happened inside of one of Alaska's national parks. Spokesperson said the male bear's challenge appeared predatory as if he was triggered by some other action. The contest was postponed for a day. They posted the bracket for the 12 fat bears featured on the online competition. The good news is you can actually watch all this on the National Park Service's explore.org and be able to do this. They've done this for 10 years, and they just try to find out which bear can actually get the fattest. And that's one way to do it, right? Is to go after another bear.
I guess so. It seems a little brutal to me,
but it's nature, though. So
yeah. So they're not stepping in. They're not impeding the process. They're showing the bears.
It's basically just watching. Yeah, as you said, it's a spectator sport, I guess you could say. And and no humans are involved in this at all.
But there's brackets and prize money.
Pretty much so.
Okay.
Fat bear contest.
Okay. Well, a lavish Los Angeles mansion just got a $20 million price cut.
What?
Hey! The 12-bedroom, 17-bathroom property was listed for $139 million in 2022, but it can now be yours for just $119 million. Wow. The 30,000-square-foot estate has been on and off the market for the last 2 years. Nicknamed The End, the mansion offers sweeping views of L.A., a luxury wine cellar, a glass-walled entry, a climate-controlled cigar lounge, a vodka tasting room, and a life-size dinosaur sculpture. Other amenities include a 6,000-square-foot nightclub, a climbing wall, and a car showroom with room for 6 cars and a rotating elevator. There's even an outdoor bar with swing seats and an infinity edge pool.
And not only that, I think it's one of those televisions that comes out of the ground. We saw that at CES, Matt and I did, and it's basically now what they can do is just LED. I mean, it's like paper now. So this thing folds up and then it goes down into the ground. So when it's raining or not in use, but you open up, it's almost like a drive-in theater if you think about it, except a pool. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Here's the thing, when I was looking at it, how opulent it looked and how gorgeous, it's just, to me, I was thinking, how would you furnish it? That would be another millions and millions of dollars.
I'm hoping that the furniture is included for that
I would hope
price,
so.
But you never know.
If you have $119 million, good luck. You probably get a good deal on it. Maybe get it down to $115 million. Who knows?
It'll already be decorated for you. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
You'd be the talk of the town. If I bought it, I'd invite you over.
That's so
we can go watch the show out in the pool. How about
that?
It's
a $20 million discount.
I like that idea. More flashing.
Welcome back. There is an urgent focus on accessible Medicare for all. Here is U.S. Air Force veteran and National Senior Vice President of Paralyzed Veterans of America, Tammy Jones. Tammy, thank you for your service and joining us today.
Some of the challenges that I've faced over these 38 years has been inability to get into a facility due to there not being a ramp for me to get into the building. Another incident was I was able to get into a building, but then I got back to the treatment room and the equipment wasn't accessible or available for me to have the procedure that I needed done at the time. We are very proud to partner with Hannah Storm for our campaign of awareness for women with disabilities to have accessible health care, to have the facilities, the equipment, and the staff available to have the health care that she deserves to live her best life possible. And we want to empower women with disabilities to speak up and say enough is enough. Please join us at pva.org and sign our petition to give us the access to the health care that we need to live our best lives possible. pva.org and sign our petition.
Smoke alarms can serve as a first line of defense during a house fire. And according to new data, smoke alarms actually reduce the risk of dying in homes by 60%. Here's Suzanne McElvey with more.
Smoke alarms are a critical element of home fire safety. They alert you to the fire in time to get out, but they have to be working in order to protect you. So this year's Fire Prevention Week campaign emphasizes just how important it is to have smoke alarms in your homes, but to make sure that you know how to test and maintain them properly and ensure that you've got them in all the places that they need to be. So the best way to make sure that your smoke alarm is in good working order is to test it monthly, and you simply do that by pressing the test button on the smoke alarm. But the important thing also for people to remember is that smoke alarms don't last forever. They're designed to work for up to 10 years. The thing you want to do is look at the back of the alarm. That's where the date of manufacture is located. You want to make sure that you're replacing your alarms within 10 years of that date. So we have a wealth of information on our Fire Prevention Week website at fpw.org.
Hey, we definitely love hearing from you. I think it's such a big part of our show. Love us or hate us. I love getting hate mail every once in a while because I'm like, all right, maybe I need to change some stuff.
You like to torture yourself.
I like to torture. I'm a tortured soul. But if you go to our website, dailyflashshow.com.
Contact us right there. You can send us an email, reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Y'all take care. We'll see you when we look at you. Bye-bye.